All right, in this video, we want to find the equation of the polynomial function that has these points over here given in this table of values. So first things first is I'm going to determine what type of equation this is by doing my first differences and I guess my finite differences. So let's start with the first differences over here. Just doing the second minus the first value or each next one minus the previous one. So over here I'll get 96. Over here I'll get 24. 6, 42, 132. So these are not the same. So I'll find my second differences, which are negative 72, negative 18, 36, 90. Now I will find my third differences because those are not the same. So 54, 54, 54. So since my third differences are all the same, this is going to be a cubic function. That cubic function is going to be represented by y equals ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d. Now, using the third differences, I can find the a value using the constant finite difference equation. Now, some of you might have just seen this equation as c equals to a times n factorial, where c is your constant finite difference, a is your leading coefficient, and n is your degree of this function. But that only applies to table of values where the x values increase by a value of 1. So if I went negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, then this formula applies. If you have a bigger delta in your x values, you actually have to use the formula c equals to an factorial times delta x to the power of n. So again, if your delta x is just 1, like your values are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you don't need to use that part of the formula. But if your x values are changing by larger or smaller amounts, you have to use the entire constant finite difference formula over here. So my C is just 54 in this question. Don't mix it up with that C there, which is completely different. These two A's are the same. That's what I'm trying to find over here. N is my degree. I know this is a third degree function because the third differences are the same. My delta X, my values go up by 3. So my delta X is 3. And again, my degree is 3. Now I just have to solve this. So 54 equals to A. 3 factorial is just 6. 3 cubed is just 27. 54 equals 162A. And then if I divide by 162 and simplify this, just get my A value as 1 over 3. So now that I know my A value, I can replace it in this equation over here. I also know that my D value in standard form is just my y-intercept, and my y-intercept is when x equals to 0. So I also know that D equals negative 6 as well. So I'll fill those two in this step over here. So y equals 1 over 3x cubed plus bx squared plus cx minus 6. Now that I got my A and my D value, I just need to find B and C value. And to find my B and C value, I just need to sub in two random points to get and solve using either substitution or elimination. So let me start by subbing in 3 and 0. That's a pretty easy point to sub in. So y is 0, x is 3. And let me simplify this equation over here. We'll combine like terms. And I'll just divide this by 3 because it is possible to divide this. So I'll just do that simplification. Not really necessary, but makes things a bit easier. So I have an equation here with two variables. I can't solve it. I need to sub in a second point into this. I'll just sub in a negative 3 and 30. You can't sub in your y-intercept. That won't work because that's used to calculate d. So negative 30 equals 1 over 3, negative 3 cubed plus b, negative 3 square plus c times negative 3 minus 6. And I'll simplify this. Combine like terms over here. Then I'll move the negative 30 and add it to the other side just because then I'll have both the equations in the exact same format and then I can just do elimination, which is pretty easy over here. But before that, I will divide by 3. Now I'll write this equation below this one. And I'll solve these using elimination. You can either add or subtract over here. I'm just going to subtract and solve it with elimination. So 0 minus 0 is just 0. 3b minus 3b cancels out. Negative c minus c, that's negative 2c. 5 minus 1 is 4. And now I just need to solve this. So I'll move the negative 2c to the other side and then divide by 2. I just get c equals 2. And then I'll sub this over here and solve for b. And I get b as negative 1. So my final equation for this question is just y equals 1 over 3x cubed minus x squared plus 2x minus 6. If you made it to the end of this video and you found this content helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.